Take a look at this man. He's lying in a hospital bed. His lungs are fighting for air. His heart is giving out. If he doesn't get help in the next few hours, he's dead. He's been rushed into a special ward at the King Hussein Medical Center in Amman, Jordan. But the doctors are confused. They have no idea who this man is, and they don't know what's wrong with him. His name is Khaled Mashal, and he's one of the top leaders in Hamas. And this wasn't an accident. Benjamin Netanyahu authorized a plan to poison him.
One of our brothers has been the victim of a cruel attack. It is totally unacceptable.
Feelings are not a part of it. You do it because the Prime Minister decided to do it.
אנחנו פה כי יש לנו רק ירושלים אחת, ונשמור עליה.
To understand why Khaled Mashal was poisoned, we have to go back 4 years earlier to this moment. Two men standing on the lawn of the White House next to US President Bill Clinton. On the left is Israel's Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin. On the right is Yasser Arafat. He is the head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or the PLO. They represent the Palestinian people. That handshake is iconic because, as crazy as it may seem in today's world, Israel and Palestine had reached a peace deal. Check this out. This is a document from the United Nations which outlines the terms of this peace deal. The government of the State of Israel and the PLO agree that it is time to put an end to decades of confrontation and conflict, recognize their mutual legitimate and political rights, and strive to live in peaceful coexistence and mutual dignity, and so on and so forth. Whoa.
We who have fought against you, the Palestinians, we say to you today, in a loud and a clear voice, enough of blood and tears. Enough!
This mutual agreement to work together was called the Oslo Accord, and in it outlines a plan for Israel to remove its soldiers and for Palestinians to govern parts of the West Bank and Gaza. This agreement was so unprecedented that it actually earned Rabin and Arafat the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994. But the ink had barely dried on the Oslo Accord before the agreement came under attack. Shortly after the accords were signed, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin is leaving a peace rally in Tel Aviv when he is shot 3 times in the back. The assassin is a far-right Israeli extremist who believed Rabin had betrayed his own people by shaking hands with the Palestinians. Rabin dies on the operating table, and with him any real hope of the Oslo Accord. Right now, your internet service provider is quietly building a file on you. Every site, every click, it's all being logged. And that creates a massive vulnerability that can be exploited. And that's why I use private internet access, my VPN of choice, and the sponsor of this video. Think of a VPN as a secure, encrypted tunnel for your data. But every time you connect using private internet access, you get a new identity, a new IP address that can't be traced back to you. It keeps your identity hidden and your browsing history private. When I'm working on these videos, I spend dozens of hours working in this very studio. But sometimes I need a change of scenery, so I head down to the coffee shop or the library. When I do, private internet access blocks any snoopers on that Wi-Fi network from seeing my personal information, my login details, or just my browsing history, which I definitely don't want to share. One of my favorite features about private internet access is their no logs policy. They store no personal data. In fact, they've been subpoenaed multiple times by the FBI in court to hand over personal data of their users, and they've handed over absolutely nothing. But it's not just about privacy, it also works with all major streaming services. My favorite movie trilogy is the Matrix series, but they don't actually have it available on Netflix here in Australia, or even on the US server. But that's no problem. I just boot up the app, tunnel into the Japan server and refresh, and boom, there it is. All 3 movies ready for me to enjoy. With servers in over 91 countries and all 50 states in the US, you can gain access to websites and services that are only available in those locations. And today, super excited to announce you guys will get an 83% discount on private internet access. That works out to be about $2.03 a month, which is super cheap. Plus, if you sign up now, you'll get an additional 4 months free. Plus, one subscription covers unlimited devices, and I love that. 4 phones, 2 laptops, computer, tablet, it's all covered in the one subscription. Sign up using my link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen now. After Rabin's assassination, his Labour Party colleague, Shimon Peres, takes over as Prime Minister. He still wants peace, he still wants Oslo to work, but there is a problem. There is a new group that is rising in power in Palestine. A group that rejected the Oslo Accord. No, they didn't just reject it, they actively sabotaged it, using violence. Hamas had arrived and they were making sure everyone heard them, loud and clear. The Israeli public is terrified. The peace deal is in shambles.
This is not peace, this is sickness.
And in the chaos, they elect Benjamin Netanyahu as the new Prime Minister. Netanyahu takes advantage of the climate and is elected on a promise to put the security of the Israeli people first.
He was genuinely outraged, but he knew how to channel that outrage. And that coincided with his rise to power.
But Hamas was just getting started. They bomb a crowded market, then another, 21 more people dead and hundreds injured. So Netanyahu calls an emergency meeting with his security chiefs. Israel's national intelligence agency, Mossad, is in the room. And the message to them is clear. Find them and make them pay.
These ferocious attempts to kill Israeli citizens have made Benjamin Netanyahu determined to revenge.
Mossad compiles a list of top Hamas targets and brings it to Netanyahu. One name is at the top of that list.
We studied every attack that had taken place that year. After discussing the issue, we decided that Khaled Mashal was behind the new wave of bombings and that we had to eliminate him.
Khaled Mashal is a top leader in Hamas.
If we just use words, Israel will not listen. When Israelis pay the price of occupation, then they will think about withdrawal.
But there's a problem. The man they want, he's not in Gaza. He's here. An Arab country Israel has just signed a peace treaty with. In 1994, hot off the heels of the Oslo Accord, Yitzhak Rabin, the Israeli Prime Minister, also sat down with Jordan's King Hussein and signed another peace treaty. After 46 years at war, Jordan and Israel were officially at peace. So to try and assassinate Khaled Mashal on Jordanian soil would be reckless, dangerous, insane even. Incredibly, Benjamin Netanyahu decides it's worth the risk. Mossad is given the job, but they are given the instruction to complete the mission quietly.
Netanyahu doesn't want it to be an obvious, clear operation. We call it a מבצע רועש.
He didn't want a big operation with explosives and lots of shooting. Netanyahu said, it has to be a quiet mission.
5 Mossad agents and a doctor are in Amman, Jordan. They've flown in over the previous weeks from different cities, Amsterdam, Toronto, Paris, all traveling separately and all carrying fake Canadian passports. Within the team, there are 2 agents from the Caesarea division, an elite group of assassins trained to kill. They will perform the hit. Netanyahu's order was clear: no bombs, no guns, a quiet operation. So Mossad gets creative. Take a look at this. One agent's arm was tied up with a bandage, but hidden underneath it was something like this: a small little device that sprays out poison like Spider-Man's web. The poison is a fentanyl derivative specially created by Mossad. It's called levofentanyl. It kills on contact, no injection needed. Just a spray on the skin, and within hours the victim's body starts shutting down. The death will appear completely unremarkable. You'll start to feel drowsy, maybe vomit, then take a nap, and never wake up. As the substance is a Mossad secret, doctors won't know to look for it, and therefore it will remain undetected on an autopsy. Because this poison is so lethal, Mossad had to bring an insurance policy. A doctor who's carrying the antidote in her bag, just in case one of their own agents accidentally gets exposed. Mossad has rehearsed the hit dozens of times. But this morning is no drill. Khaled Mashal is in the car with his 3 children and his driver heading to work. They pull up outside Mashal's office building. The 2 Mossad agents are already waiting outside. Mashal steps out of the car, leaving his children inside. He heads towards his office and the 2 agents approach. They're heading straight for him. The agent with the poison lifts his arm and aims it at Mashal's head. He sprays. The poison goes into his ear. At this exact moment, Michelle's bodyguard arrives for work.
I immediately realized it was an attack. I ran after them and kicked them.
Abu Saif chases the 2 Mossad agents, catches up to them, and then a fight breaks out. Then, out of nowhere, help arrives.
I got out of the taxi. I noticed 2 foreigners fighting with an Arab man. I went there immediately. I heard the Arab man shouting, saying they were Mossad agents and that they had killed Khaled Mashal.
Saif and the PLO officer managed to wrestle the Mossad agents to the ground, pin them down, and drag them into a nearby taxi. They drive them to the nearest police station. The Jordanian police start asking questions. The agents stick to their story. They are Canadian tourists, and this is a huge misunderstanding. In fact, Hamas were the ones that started the fight. Meanwhile, a couple of 100 meters away, Khaled Mashal is trying to process what the hell just happened. It's now Thursday afternoon. He's shaken, but mostly he's confused. Within an hour, Mashal develops a severe headache, nausea, and has trouble breathing. He's rushed to a local Amman hospital. His condition rapidly deteriorates. But the doctors there are baffled. Back at Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv, the phone rings. Danny Yatom, the head of Mossad, picks up. It's the operations manager in Amman. "We have a problem," he says. "2 of our agents have been captured and they're in a Jordanian prison." "What about our other agents?" Yatom asks. "They're okay. Get them to safety," he says. "The Israeli embassy now." Yatom hangs up. He calls Benjamin Netanyahu. "We need to talk." Netanyahu has a choice to make. Option 1, deny everything. Let the 2 agents rot in a Jordanian prison and hope nobody works out who sent them. Option 2, come clean, admit what happened. Try to salvage what's left of the relationship with Jordan before it's too late. He takes a breath. "We have to tell the king." Yatom gets on a helicopter stat. He arrives in Amman late Thursday night. He's about to walk into one of the most humiliating meetings of his life, because King Hussein has no idea what has been happening in his own city.
Well, the king, of course, didn't know what is the reason for my coming. So I told him immediately everything. Told him it's nothing against you, His Majesty. It is against Hamas, not against you.
One of our brothers has been the victim of a cruel attack. It is totally unacceptable. I've told our international partners that the existence of the peace treaty depends on the life of this man.
King Hussein has set his price. The antidote, the exact formulation of the poison, and the spray weapon itself. That's the only thing he'll accept in exchange for the two Mossad agents. If Israel doesn't hand it all over by midnight on Saturday night, he'll publicly trial the agents and have them hanged. Yatom leaves the meeting and gets back on his helicopter to Tel Aviv, but King Hussein is not waiting around to see if Israel cooperates. He's already making his next move. Jordanian security forces roll up to the Israeli embassy in Amman. They're surrounding the building. Inside, the other 3 Mossad agents are trapped.
Had Khaled Mashal died, the Israeli embassy was going to be stormed.
It's late Thursday night now, and King Hussein is furious. Understanding the severity of the situation, he has Mashal moved to his own King Hussein Medical Center, and he puts his own personal physician in charge of his health. Mashal's respiratory system is failing, and he's put into a coma and on a ventilator to keep him alive. They know that he's been poisoned, but Israel hasn't divulged what kind of poison it is, and without knowing that, they can't save him. As the minutes tick by, Mashal is slipping closer and closer to death. The next day, Friday, Yatom arrives back in Israel and tells Netanyahu about the request for the antidote. Netanyahu is concerned, to say the least. He has 2 Mossad agents sitting in a Jordanian prison and 3 more trapped in the Israeli embassy, surrounded by armed guards. And now, Khaled Mashal, the man they tried to kill, is the only bargaining chip keeping those agents alive. But he can't bear to bring himself to give the antidote to a man who is responsible for so many innocent Israeli deaths. He won't budge. All day Friday, calls are flying back and forth. Bill Clinton, the US president, gets involved and also starts to apply the pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu.
President Clinton was very upset. He listened very carefully to what King Hussein had to say, and he said, referring to Netanyahu, "This man is impossible."
Finally, late sometime on Friday night, Netanyahu cracks and agrees to share the antidote. The very same antidote that this whole time has been sitting in the bag of the doctor that Mossad brought to Jordan. He also concedes to the weapon and the exact formulation of the poison, a heavily guarded state secret.
The mission becomes saving the 2 operatives. The means is reviving Mashal. Then I got a call from the head of operations saying, go down to the lobby with the doctor. There is a person from the Jordanian security. His name is Captain Firas. Give him the antidote, and the doctor should go with him and inject it to Mashal.
They inject the antidote early Saturday morning, almost 48 hours since the attack. And slowly, Mashal starts to stabilize. He wakes from his coma. It would be another 4 days before Mashal could breathe unassisted, but it's clear he's going to survive. But despite Mashal being saved, King Hussein is still furious, and he's not done with Israel yet. The Mossad agents are still stuck in Jordan, and he's about to make Netanyahu really pay. The king makes his demands clear. If Israel wants their agents back, they'll have to release Palestinian prisoners, 70 in total. But King Hussein isn't finished. There's one more name on his list, a name that makes Netanyahu's stomach turn. Ahmed Yassin. Ahmed Yassin is the founder of Hamas, the spiritual leader, the man who started it all. And he's been sitting in an Israeli prison for 8 years, living out a life sentence. He's paralyzed in a wheelchair, but still considered one of Israel's most dangerous enemies. Netanyahu has no choice, he agrees. 5 days later, Ahmed Yassin is released. At the same time, Israeli helicopters are heading in the opposite direction, carrying the Mossad agents back to Israel. A very expensive exchange for Netanyahu. But that's not all. Khaled Mashal would go on to become Israel's worst nightmare. he would rise to supreme command of Hamas. And in 2006, Hamas would shock the world by winning the Palestinian elections. But Israel didn't just fail to kill Mashal that day. They saved him, and they saved Hamas. Mashal went on to lead Hamas for over a decade, directing wars, orchestrating attacks, and building the organization into one of Israel's greatest threats. We'll never know what would have happened if that mission had succeeded, but we do know what actually happened. Israel gave Hamas back its founder and turned Mashal into a legend. In trying to destroy Hamas, they saved it. The Khaled Mashal affair is one of Mossad's worst failures. But it raises the question, what happens when a different country with a different playbook orders a hit? In 1987, North Korea didn't do a quiet operation. They recruited a young, beautiful woman to plant a bomb on a civilian airliner. It is an insane story that you should check out right now. And if you're interested in seeing a little behind the scenes of all the work that goes into these videos, you should check out my Patreon as well. I'll leave a link in the description below.